literally have nothing in there at all. So even if you get a torch on it, you can't really see anything in there, and that's probably because it's going to be superheated vapor at this stage. It's not going to be sort of something liquid that we would want. This compressor feels quite cool. The black ones will heat up quite quick if we need it running. So once it's up and running, it's literally gauges off, gauges back on, let's get it back in. If we need it running for half hour, they've got internal thermistors in that will click out, and then they're going to be alright to start. Okay, so we're going to fit the gauges on the system. So this is the stage, right? Customers called, and this is where you can take any job, it's really where you can start. Let's get the gauge on, see what it's doing. You know, compressor's running, fans running, the coil's green, fans running, the coil's green, but it's not getting down the temperature, so I'm going to put the gauge on, see if there's any gas in there. Look, the side gas looks clear, but because of the gas, I know there's not really liquid in it. Your gauges, when you come to fit them, any residue refrigerant that is left in here, you'll have to just let go. So it's sorry, it's used to the ones in work. Well, if I'd not done that pump down sequence, there would have been a lot more gas in there to let go. Yeah, it could be liquid. So I'm going to fit these on the system. Same thing again. Right, I'm going to go on to the suction, which is the big pipe with the lagging on. I need to make sure it's in what position. Make sure this is tight. Just grab. And then blue gauge on. Okay, nice and tight, no rocking. Going to do the same with the high side. Okay, right, what's in my hoses? Air. And I'm going a bit of air in, so I'm going to remove the air. Now it's very easy here because my back one is right next to me. You might be on a roof or on a boat or something like that, it may be a little bit less difficult. So what you might find, some engineers will crack this and then just give it a purge at the other end, but that's going to release some refrigerant to atmosphere. So the best practice is not to do that. The best practice will be to bring this onto the back pump. That pump on, open that one, open up my friends, and you see it go right down and change noise. But also, can you see these are locked off? So there's a little bit of air here. Open that one, and open that one, so I'm getting the air out fully. So I don't put any small bits of air in with my refrigerant. Just do that for about 10 seconds. Once you've done that, you can see the gauge is down, backwards change noise, so I'm just going to shut this off. Close that one, see what's vacuum in there. What?
Yeah, so I was saying, would you not be sucking the refrigerant out with your back seat?
It's back seated. Yeah, if they're not back seated, then we're in a well job. And take them off that pump. But again, remember now, this side of the bulb is in the vacuum, this side's got air in it.
I'll just have a question. So realistically for this test, the only time we're back seating is when we're closing the system down or sucking out the lines, or gauges on.
Gauges off. It's the only time it's back seated.
It's all gauge related, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's back seated when there's nothing on.
Yeah.
You only back seated all the time apart from when you're putting gauges on, gauges off, at that stage, at some point you need to crack it.
And back in the hoses of the gauges.
So now the back, but I can only back these out because these are back seated.
Yeah.
My friends are shut. That's also important. Because if my friend's open, I open, it's going to go from hoses into the yellow one. So it's only going to go into the blue hose at the moment. How many turns? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see I've got some refrigerant in the blue side? Let's have a look at the red one. Take that one, red friend is shut. And we've got some pressure in there. I would then be looking at commission sheets and I'm thinking that pressure's way too low, should be at 6 bar. That would indicate to me I've got a leak. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to recover the gas and then I'm going to pressure test. That would be the next step to find the leak and repair it before going back to where we started, the back and out. Okay. So realistically, if we think about an assessment, this would be a great place to start putting the gauges on and getting back. But at the end of the assessment, I've got to take the pipe back out, so it doesn't, I can't do it like that. Okay, right. Let's have a little thumbs up at that stage because I know that's when we can cut down. So the next thing then, we've got to get the gas out. The system's running, and realistically, to get the gas out, I can just kind of turn it off. I can pump it down if I wanted to, so I can wind that in. I can hit the switch to pump it down, but remember that switch is a thermostat in work, and if I've got no gas it's not going to reach temperature. So in this case I'm just going to turn it off and we'll sort of deal with the gas side of it. But turning them off will shut that solenoid, and as you can see I've still got a bit of gas in the low side, but it's not much in the high side. If I had a load more, so when you come tomorrow you might decide to pump it down before recovering the gas. If I take the liquid out, it's going to be a lot faster than vapor. Alright, up to 7 or 8 times faster. All the liquid is in the liquid receiver, yeah, so that's where I want to get it out. So I'm going to need a recovery unit. As normal, my apprentices have not left it very tidy. That's all. So when he said about not having hoses on the floor, what did my apprentices do?
Put them on the floor.
Yeah.
Worse.
They are the future.
Go on a bit. Oh, I never trust people anything like that.
Because I don't
Trust the fuckers. Let's do a bit of recovery unit up here so it's easier for you to see. One of the recovery units is 110 volts, so please just check the front and don't plug the 110 into a tube. These are all right for training, pretty good for training because what you do. Other ones are different. So you see on the notes it will say for the XTR, which is this one, but I will suggest that whatever manufacturer you use, you read and use their instructions as opposed to assuming it works like this. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Because they are not all the same. Not all recovery units. Some people don't like these because they're a little bit slow compared to what is available on the market. And I suppose with your systems, when you're about 100 kilos, you're going to want something that's fast. But for training, this is good because we do everything with it running. There is a Pro Max one. I think it's down at the back. I'll have to dig him out. And if you do to that, but what I'm saying, if you do to that one what you do to this one, you'll break it. All right. So when I started Channing Cool, I bought second-hand one of these. 220 quid, absolutely brilliant. And then I saw this Pro Max one, brand new, advertised for 100 quid. Advertised one, spelled refrigerant, or refrigeration with a D. And a friend of mine said if you look on eBay, if it's spelled with a D, hardly anyone bids on it because it's not how you spell it. eBay have cottoned onto that now, so if you search for it, it all comes up as one. But I've got this recovery unit, literally brand new, 110 quid. Second person that used it, turned it with it running and knackered it. And when you start a business, it's a hard pill to swallow, do you know what I mean? It is just a genuine mistake, but you can knacker it. Right, on here, we're going to take the yellow hose, that's our utility hose, that's going to go into the recovery unit. So can you see it's got inlet? Yeah. Inlet and discharge, yes. In, out. Alright, so onto the in. Now, what is in my yellow hose?
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh.
Still refrigerant.
It's not refrigerant.
Vapor.
It's a vacuum. Remember, it's come off the vat pump and I've not opened my friends. So I'm going to put that in there. And the red hose, or whatever hose is on the discharge, is now going to go onto my bottom. I'm going to explain this hose a little bit to you because it's going to be a little bit different to potentially what you had in one. Can you see my red hose has got this pressure in? It is not connected, but when I open it, it will be the same pressure in there. So what we do at Chanico is once we have finished the hose sequence, we leave that in there rather than let that refrigerant go each time, because we're going in at the same system. In the real world, if I'm going to that system there to take the gas out and I want to reuse that gas, I don't want to be putting this gas in with it because this gas could be contaminated. And we could also have a filter goes on here to remove any moisture as it goes in. So when they come, they generally come with a filter, but we sort of tend not to use them. So you different ones, some are noisier. I mean, the first one like this I bought sounded like a jet engine, others are a lot quieter. Any questions on that? Okay, vacuum, what's in here? In here is refrigerant, but what is in here? Air. So those bits of air I want to remove, yes. I'm just going to get my scales out, put it back on the scales for a second.
Just want to do the purge again.
Okay, right. Now, all the refrigerant, this is the high side, so this is where all the refrigerant is. If I open up my blue friend, I will not have much pressure to purge with. So I might just empty the hose and then the air will go in, which would defeat the object. The downside to this is predominantly going to be liquid, especially when we've got the correct amount of gas in the system. Right, yep, vacuum in there. So I could just open up my red friend, open them up fully, all the way. Come down to here, open up this, and I'm going to give this a quick purge. This might get in the way, just be open. As soon as you open, that's some stage. That's all you've got to do, just a hiss like that, so it's just audio. Now when other fans are running and stuff like that, it might be a little bit awkward, but you don't want to be letting it go for very long. It defeats the object of vacuuming it out. Now we get to the interesting thing on this. This one, because he's been sort of left, he's kind of got gas in this side. But what I'm going to do is open this to liquid throttle, and when I feel the gas go in, I'm just going to take my hand away. Open, open, open. And can you see, I can just feel it, and the needle's moving. Yeah. Just move slightly. Now it might well be that yours is down here and you'll see it go up. But don't turn it back, just take your hand away and let it fill up, yeah? I'll make sure this middle one's on recover. And we've got sort of two different units, a smaller unit and a larger, but the smaller units are the same, just that both of these are black, not blue, and they're sort of 90 degrees out of sync. But if you look at it, it's still got the liquid throttle, still got the purge, it's exactly the same, they're just black. I'm going to open up my red valve. So on your notes, I would call this blue valve red valve, so that's different to your friends. That's open, that's got all the way down to here. That just gives me a little bit of air here, yes? So open this and shut it instantly. All right, so I didn't have that done upside. So you'd have that done, just open, look this. See the liquid come out? All right. So you've got to think about, there's a trip to Bristol and back on the miles that we could drive the car, yeah? I've gone into the vapor side. I could go into liquid. If I had a high pressure gas like 410 or something like that, generally I'll go into the liquid side. It will keep the pressure down. For the amount of gas we're taking out today, we're just going to go into the vapor side. It just means when I take it off, it will be vapor, not liquid, so it just saves a little bit more gas. At this stage, scales on. And we've already done the tare weight, so I know it can take the amount of gas. That's good. You know, put another half in, so I know it can take another 3.5 kilos. I've only put 700 grams in. We're on zero. Open up the scale. Open up the bottle fully. Not halves, not just cracked. It tends to be when we get people struggling with recovery. It's because that's not open fully, that's not open fully, or they got this shut when it should be open. If that's shut, you can't go past it. Nothing happening, so I'm just going to hit the on.
Once supplying with refrigerant, is that you just want it half time though, didn't you?
No, when it
bottle fully open again.
I do it half time for that little purge of air, then open the bottle fully.
For supplying as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
If SAF shut, especially when you put a lot of gas in, you'll struggle. So when we come to tomorrow, we do the assessment. We've got to put over 3 kilos in the beer category 1. If you don't open things fully, you'll get to about 1.6 and it'll stop. And then you've got to do a lot through the suction. Right, recovery unit on, switch him on. Can you see this drops down quite a bit? I need to keep this at about sort of 10 or 11 o'clock on this unit. And to do that, I'm just going to open this a little bit more. And just take your hand away. So I'm just monitoring that. If it starts to bang, turn it back a bit. That's all you've got to do. Look at your scales. Can you see your scales are going up?
If it starts to bang you, so...
Yeah. If it starts to bang, I'm just going to turn this back towards close and then just readjust where it is. Can you see this has dropped down? So I can open that a bit more. And bear in mind, I haven't got much gas in. I can actually open it all the way and it's not shooting up. So once it's fully open, there's not a lot more I can do. If it drops below 11 o'clock, it's because it's below, I haven't got the gas to keep it there. So everything is fully open. We're just waiting for this to do its job now. Suck the gas out.
And they're open as well, the red and blue.
No, only the red element. So can you see the red is at 4 bar, this was at around about 3/4 of a bar. There's a big difference. So what I'm going to do is wait for my red gauge to come down to about 1 bar, then I will open up the blue and I'll put the magnet on to clear everything. Does that make sense? Alright, so the magnet only goes on the very, very last bit.
This is the bit where in work we use push pull.
Push pull?
Where we use push pull to take the vapour out of the system and shove it back into itself to pressurise it to force the liquid out of the unit and into the bottles, so we get all the liquid out first.
That's only suitable for systems over 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Just about 2 bars, so I've got literally 1 more bar to go. We haven't got, only got 250 grams of gas out at the moment, so it's not a massive amount. There is a purge facility, I'll get a bit more, but we will lose a bit of gas, putting gas in and out. And also, it might be that this didn't have much gas in, so so I may not get 700 grams out on the first run, but on the second run I should get closer once we start to stabilise the recovery units a little bit. Depends. 2 bars, so I'm just waiting for this to come to 1 bar, open up my blue frame, get the magnet on, and I'll wait for it to come down into a little vacuum.
Because if you didn't put your magnet on, you'd just be draining down.
Potentially, it depends on the position of my TEV.
Yeah.
Now, you guys will be using electronics, so the electronics would potentially be shut. So between that solenoid and your electronic, there'll be a dead leg, and you don't know what's in there.
Yeah.
So you could then think, actually, I've got all the gas out, shot through a pipe, and it could be full of liquid.
Yeah.
So the solenoid is important. Right, 1 bar. On the red, yeah. Open up the blue fully. And then on this side I'll put my magnet on. If you put the magnet on the wrong way, can you see it doesn't click?
Yeah.
So just make sure it clicks open. If you have the magnet on and put gas in, or you put gas in and think, I haven't got the magnet on or whatever, you try to put the magnet on, like when we're pressure testing, there'll be too much pressure for the magnet to overcome, so it has to be on. I'm going to wait for my blue gauge to come to just 1 red line below 0. So you can see the red line, 1 red line below 0. So minus a fifth of the bar. And that way there, it just ensures that there's no refrigerant trapped in the oil or anything like that. Once it's there, I'll shut my frames, I'll do my purge, and then before I disconnect anything, I'll just make sure that hasn't shot back up above 0. If it does, then I'll just go back to recover, purge, recover, purge until it holds in a vacuum. So on large systems, like when you've got a lot of oil, refrigerant can be trapped in there and it will be bubbling. Now, by the time you do the purge, it will rise back up to a quarter bar, half a bar, etc. So you just keep doing it and doing it.
Completely remove then you purge following.
Sorry?
Completely remove everything, then purge following.
No, I'll do it, I'll shut it, I'll purge it, and then I'll check it if it doesn't go before I remove. But I'll isolate the gauges from the recovery unit, so there's no danger of refrigerant going back in, etc. So we're quite low. I would have expected a little bit more gas to come out. The purge, a little bit of liquid, but it would have been massive. It would have been like 300 grams worth. These systems can hold, when you do like recovery, you go from bottle to bottle, they can hold up to half a kilo of gas in, give or take. It won't be half a kilo in today or the moment, but when it's full of liquid, it could. So when you're doing like your last bottle, you've got to stop it about half a kilo short, do your purge, and make sure you don't overfill that bottle. If you overfill the bottle, take it back, chances are they'll weigh it and say, have it back, deal with it, give it back to us when it's safe. This one, can you see this one ices up slightly down the bottom? And that's where it's taking the liquid out. So it's dropping the pressure quite a lot. Just pass me that heater.
What's with
The heater.
Oh, yeah.
Here. So what the other two units will be fine, and we've only had an issue with this one icing up since we put this receiver on. So the way around that, or one of the ways around it, is to just sort of put a heater onto it to try and heat it up to get it to come out a little bit faster. So that's nothing to do with the assessment, you know, that is just a characteristic of this unit. If you look at the one down the end, I think this one, yeah. So you can see on this one we put like a crankcase heater around it, right, so we can switch that on. But that is something we've had to do only because of the characteristics of it. So this liquid receiver is not behaving as well as the others. Still got a bit to go, but I've started to melt the ice on the bottom, get a bit of heat in there. If you, it's just have a feel of the, if you have a feel of the bottom of that liquid receiver, you can feel how cold it is.
I can see it.
You see it
Yeah.
cracking here.
And that's where the liquid refrigerant is boiling off at the moment. So there's like a little puddle in there. She's well trained, isn't she? It's alright. We have another crankcase heater for this one. The receiver. Yeah. You can pause it there for a minute if you want.